A leak just confirmed what fans have been whispering, insiders have been hinting at, and players have been side-eyeing for weeks. Head coach Kevin Stefanski was ordered by the front office to name rookie Shedeur Sanders the starting quarterback. Not he chose, not he decided after camp, not even he was swayed by performance. No, he was told. Mandated. Top-down decision. And now, the entire city of Cleveland is living inside a football soap opera.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
What should have been a competitive training camp has turned into a political disaster. One that stretches far beyond the locker room. Because this isn't just about quarterback depth charts anymore. This is about who controls the franchise, who the players trust, and what the fans are willing to put up with. And trust me, they're not taking this one quietly. Let's rewind. The Browns drafted 2 quarterbacks this offseason, veteran-minded Dillon Gabriel and big-name, high-swag Shedeur Sanders. That alone raised eyebrows. 2 rookies? Different styles? Different energies? Classic Browns move, hedging bets without really committing to either guy. Gabriel came in with textbook discipline. No frills. A total system QB who looked like someone Kevin Stefanski could mold into his vision, play-action heavy, rhythm-based, mistake-averse. The kind of guy you start when you want stability. But Shedeur? Shedeur came in with swagger. Not attitude. Swagger. Confidence like an air horn. A social media following, a Heisman buzz, and a name that makes headlines walk up and introduce themselves. He wasn't trying to blend in. He was trying to lead. From the second he stepped on the field, Shedeur was commanding. Teammates noticed. Cameras noticed. And apparently the front office really noticed. Because that's where things got twisted. Behind the scenes, Stefanski reportedly leaned toward Gabriel. Sources say he was impressed with Shedeur's raw talent, but wanted to bring him along slowly. Let him sit for a few weeks. Let him adjust to the speed of the NFL. Develop him. But the execs upstairs didn't want development. They wanted fireworks. And let's be honest, can you blame them? This is Cleveland. A city that's had more quarterbacks than playoff appearances since the turn of the millennium. They're exhausted. They're emotionally bankrupt. They don't want safe anymore. They want someone to believe in. And to a lot of people, Shedeur is that belief wrapped in cleats and confidence. So the call came down. Not a suggestion. Not a strong nudge. A directive. Shedeur Sanders is the starter. Period. And that's when the real chaos began. Because now, Kevin Stefanski, already on thin ice with the fanbase, is being portrayed as a man who's lost control of his own team. When a head coach doesn't get to pick his own quarterback, what message does that send to the players? To the staff? To the entire building? That the coach is a placeholder. That decisions are made in back rooms, not on the practice field. That the game plan doesn't come from the headset, it comes from the owner's box. That is a disaster for team culture. And don't think the players haven't picked up on it. NFL locker rooms are built on hierarchy and respect. If they sense a power vacuum, if they sense that the coach's voice is no longer the final one, you get factions. You get whispers. You get eye rolls in team meetings. You get splintering. You get dysfunction. And Cleveland? They're no stranger to that. In fact, they practically pioneered it. The Browns have always been known for eating their own quarterbacks alive. And now they're doing the same to their head coach. This quarterback decision wasn't just about who throws the ball, it was about who holds the power. And right now, it's clear that Stefanski doesn't. Which means if Shedeur doesn't come out and immediately ball out, the calls for Stefanski's job are going to come fast and loud. Because let's be honest, this team didn't do a soft launch. They went all in. The marketing push is already rolling. The Shedeur era graphics. The hype videos. The interviews. The fan merch. It's happening. And if he throws 2 picks in the first quarter of the season opener? If the offense stalls? If the defense can't carry them through the first few weeks? The whole thing detonates. That's the insane pressure Shedeur now has to operate under. Not only is he expected to perform like a veteran, he's expected to justify a front office coup. That's not just playing quarterback. That's playing politics, psychology, and brand strategy all at once. And what happens to Gabriel? Let's not forget about him. The guy did everything right, played well in camp, stayed quiet, put in the work. And now he's getting iced, not because he failed but because someone else was flashier. That sends a terrible message to the locker room. If you're a second stringer watching this unfold, what are you thinking? That merit doesn't matter? That flash beats fundamentals? That you better get a viral moment or you're invisible? You know what that creates? A team full of people playing for highlights, not wins. A team trying to protect their own image instead of building together. A team that doesn't trust the process, because the process clearly doesn't matter. And here's the twisted part. It's working. At least for now. The hype is real. Ticket sales are up. National media is dialed in. Shedeur's jersey is already flying off the shelves. Cleveland hasn't felt this alive since, well, maybe never. But that makes the crash even more dangerous. Because if Shedeur doesn't live up to the myth, if the team starts 1-3 and Stefanski is staring down another season of underachievement, heads will roll. And Shedeur, whether he deserves it or not, will become part of the fallout. It's the classic Cleveland curse. They build someone up as a savior, and then, the second he doesn't deliver a miracle, they throw him to the wolves. It's not personal. It's just pain. And Shedeur might be built for the spotlight, but this spotlight comes with teeth. Let's talk about the fans now. Because this fan base is not like the others. Cleveland fans aren't just passionate, they're emotionally invested. This isn't a casual, check the scores on Sunday kind of group. These people live this team. They ride or die. They tattoo the logo on their forearms and wear brown and orange to funerals. So when they get excited, it's real. And when they get betrayed, it's brutal. Right now, the city is buzzing. The hope is back. The swagger is real. But it's hanging by a thread. If Shedeur delivers, he'll be immortalized. A cult hero. The guy who finally broke the cycle. But if he doesn't? If this was all smoke and mirrors? The Browns will not only have destroyed another young quarterback, they'll have detonated whatever goodwill the fans had left. Because let's not forget, this isn't just a game in Cleveland. This is identity. This is life. And messing with that, making power moves in the name of buzz and clout, comes at a cost. So now, the Browns walk a tightrope. Stefanski has to coach a quarterback he didn't pick, run an offense that's being dictated from above, and keep a locker room from imploding, all while knowing that one bad loss could cost him his job. Shedeur has to be both a rookie and a franchise savior, instantly. With no learning curve, no warm-up, no grace. And the fans? They have to decide, again, if this is the season they finally let their guard down and believe. Because right now, Cleveland is sitting on a powder keg of potential, frustration, and blind faith. And one game, one quarter, one drive, could blow the whole thing wide open. You thought the leak was the peak of the madness? That once the dust settled and Shedeur was named the starter, the chaos would simmer down and the Browns could finally just focus on football? Nope. Because in Cleveland, nothing is just football. Every pass, every stare on the sideline, every moment of hesitation is part of the larger drama playing out in front of millions. And with this latest quarterback decision, the Browns haven't just invited scrutiny, they've begged for it. Let's dig into something that's quietly brewing beneath the surface of this whole saga, Shedeur's leadership role, and whether the locker room is actually following him. See, being a starting quarterback isn't just about throwing spirals or moving chains. It's about owning the room. Especially in a city like Cleveland, where the position carries near mythological weight. You're not just the guy with the ball, you're the emotional thermostat of the entire roster. And Shedeur? He might have the confidence. He might have the name. But does he have the room? Because that's the question nobody in the front office seemed to think through before forcing Stefanski to pull the trigger. You can't hand someone a crown and expect people to kneel. NFL locker rooms don't run on media hype. They run on trust, on sweat equity, on earned respect. And when you fast-track a guy, no matter how talented, past that process, it gets weird. There's reportedly a split already forming. Young players love the energy Shedeur brings. They see the juice, the attitude, the promise of a brighter, bolder Browns. But some of the vets? They're not sold. They've seen this movie before. Quarterbacks hyped up as franchise saviors, only to flame out by mid-season and leave everyone else holding the bag. So while Shedeur's walking around with swagger, there are veterans in that room giving him side eyes, waiting to see if it's real, or just more flash. And if Stefanski is caught in the middle, trying to rally a team behind a guy he didn't choose? That's not leadership. That's babysitting a chemistry experiment with no goggles on. Let's take this a level deeper. We need to talk about what this move says about the Browns' developmental philosophy, or rather, the complete lack of one. Because what happened here is the textbook example of how not to develop a rookie quarterback. Shedeur Sanders is talented, no doubt. But raw. Coming from a college system that was high-tempo, loose, and built around his strengths. Now he's in the AFC North, where defensive linemen will try to bury him before he finishes his dropback. Where schemes are exotic and mistakes cost you games, not just drives. Instead of giving him a bridge season, instead of building a plan around his learning curve, they've shoved him into the fire and screamed, "Thrive." That's not development. That's corporate panic with a playbook. Great teams understand how to cultivate talent. The Chiefs didn't rush Mahomes. The Packers gave Rodgers years. Even Jalen Hurts was brought along methodically before exploding. But the Browns? They've just yeeted Shedeur into the spotlight, declared him QB1, and handed him the steering wheel of a bus with 3 flat tires and a coach duct taped to the hood. And while we're talking about the front office, can we please address the optics of this leak? It's not just what was leaked, it's how. The phrasing. The timing. The suspiciously perfect way it undercuts Stefanski while making the executives look like decisive, bold leaders who saw the future and weren't afraid to make the tough call. Let's be real. That wasn't a leak. That was a placement. That was a controlled media move to shape the narrative before the backlash could even form. It was a power flex disguised as an insider scoop. And everyone sees it. Players aren't dumb. Coaches aren't dumb. Media definitely isn't dumb. This kind of PR warfare only makes things worse. It signals to the world that your organization is fighting itself from the inside. That instead of protecting your team, you're managing your image. So now you've got a divided locker room, a coach who's publicly undermined, a rookie thrown into a meat grinder, and a fan base being emotionally catfished yet again. But hey, at least the Shedeur era t-shirts are selling, right? Let's talk about the city itself, because this isn't just happening inside the building. It's pulsing through the streets of Cleveland like a current. Every bar, every morning radio show, every angry Reddit thread is vibrating with this one question. Is this finally the guy? It's not even about winning anymore. It's about meaning. This town has been begging, no, pleading, for a quarterback they can invest in emotionally. Someone who isn't a band-aid. Someone who isn't a risk. Someone who isn't already drowning in baggage before they even throw their first touchdown. Shedeur gives them hope. But the way it's been rolled out? It's also triggering every single scar this city has carried since 1999. They want to love him. But they've been here before. And now, because of the leak, because of the rush, because of the drama, they're terrified that this is just another chapter in the same cursed book. That Shedeur is being fed into the machine, and they're going to watch it chew him up all over again. There's fear in the excitement. And that makes the stakes even higher. Because if he doesn't succeed, if this was another forced narrative, another shiny distraction from deep-rooted dysfunction, Cleveland might not bounce back this time. The emotional bank account is overdrawn. The heartbreak credit cards are maxed out. Let's not even get started on what happens if injuries hit. What if Shedeur takes a beating in his first few starts? What if the O-line can't protect him? What if the defensive line isn't forcing turnovers and flipping the field? Then what? Do they turn to Gabriel? Backtrack the entire campaign? Reframe the Shedeur era as a learning opportunity? Because if so, why didn't you just do that from the beginning? There's no easy out here. The Browns made their bed, and now they have to sleep in it, with a rookie QB, a fractured coaching staff, and a fan base that's watching like it's the season finale of a prestige drama. The clock's ticking. The opener is coming. And the whole football world will be watching. Not just for the scoreboard, but for the body language. Does Stefanski look checked out? Do players rally around Shedeur, or just tolerate him? Are fans roaring or murmuring? These are the details that'll tell the real story of how this saga unfolds. Because the Browns didn't just pick a quarterback. They picked a direction. And if this gamble doesn't pay off, if Shedeur falters, if the team splinters, if Stefanski gets scapegoated, the fallout will be nuclear. Cleveland can't afford to be the meme again. They can't afford another rebuild. They can't afford to blow up yet another young talent. So we watch, and wait, and wonder, is this finally the start of something real? Or are we witnessing the beginning of another spectacular collapse? Because in Cleveland, the line between hero and heartbreak isn't a line at all. It's a razor's edge. And Shedeur Sanders? He's walking it now. Alone. Let's go even deeper. Because the Shedeur Sanders situation in Cleveland isn't just one of the most high-pressure rookie debuts in recent memory, it's rapidly becoming a case study in how not to manage a football team. And here's something no one in the Browns organization wants to admit. This is no longer just about performance. It's about optics. It's about control. It's about ego. And for a team that hasn't had real, sustained success in over 2 decades, the stakes of this quarterback decision are beginning to spiral into something bigger than football. We're talking full-blown identity crisis. Let's talk about the structure of this team. Or rather, the lack of it. This is a franchise that's always floated somewhere between rebuild and reboot. Never stable long enough to feel like they're building something real. Always one quarterback, one coordinator, one storyline away from full detonation. And now, they've thrown a rookie, a talented but untested rookie, into the middle of a house that's still missing the foundation. Where's the long-term vision here? Where's the infrastructure? Where's the patience? There isn't any. This is a front office that just hit the panic button before the season even started. And they're hoping Shedeur Sanders can magically solve everything. The losing culture, the dwindling fan trust, the internal dysfunction, and the bad PR. But that's not how it works. One quarterback can't fix a franchise if the franchise refuses to fix itself. And now let's talk about something we haven't touched yet, the effect this is having on the rest of the quarterback room. Because guess who this really screws over long-term? Dillon Gabriel. You think he's sticking around after this? After outplaying expectations all off-season, following the playbook, putting in the work, just to be told, thanks, but the marketing team likes the other guy? No shot. Even if he doesn't say it publicly, and he won't, he's professional. Every agent in the league now knows exactly what happened here. And every player knows what it means. Cleveland isn't a place where effort gets rewarded. It's a place where headlines get you playing time. So if Gabriel gets another opportunity elsewhere, and he will, you better believe he'll take it. And when he does, that leaves Cleveland with one quarterback, a busted development plan, and a locker room full of players who just watched meritocracy go out the window. Let's also acknowledge something more emotional here, something that can't be tracked on a stat sheet. What happens to a player like Shedeur when everything around him is chaos? Because yeah, he's been around fame. He's grown up under the lights. But nothing prepares you for the NFL chaos machine, especially when you're the eye of the storm. Right now, Shedeur is being asked to play savior, politician, leader, and content engine all at once. And that's not just hard. It's impossible. He doesn't get to make rookie mistakes. He doesn't get to have a bad quarter. He doesn't get to look confused at the line of scrimmage. Because every stumble will be seen as a referendum. On the decision. On the team. On him. And maybe he's mentally tough enough to survive it. Maybe he'll be the rare rookie who thrives in the fire. But if he isn't? If the pressure gets to him? If the city turns? He's not just going to lose games. He's going to lose momentum. And in the NFL, once you lose that, it's almost impossible to get it back. We've seen it before. Young quarterbacks thrown into unstable environments, expected to do too much, too fast, without the structure or support to actually succeed. It's not a new story, it's a tragic one. Josh Rosen in Arizona. Sam Darnold in New York. Zach Wilson, Trevor Siemian, Deshaun Kaiser. The list goes on. None of them were untalented. They were just mismanaged. And right now, Cleveland is walking the same path, with Shedeur right in the middle of it. Here's another angle to consider. What if Shedeur is good, but not great? Like, what if he comes out and throws for 200 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, moves the ball well, looks promising, but not electric? Is that enough? Because the Browns didn't just promote him. They hyped him. They made it feel like he was going to change the franchise overnight. And if he doesn't? If he's just a normal rookie? Learning, adjusting, improving slowly? Will fans give him time? Will the media be patient? Will the front office protect him? Or will the machine that built him up be the same one that chews him up the second things don't move fast enough? Because that's the risk you take when you turn a player into a campaign before he's taken his first NFL snap. And let's not forget the schedule. The Browns aren't exactly opening the season with cupcake matchups. They've got divisional rivals ready to feast on rookie mistakes. They've got top 10 defenses waiting to test every read, every throw, every delay of game penalty. This isn't college. This isn't Boulder. This is TJ Watt breathing down your neck. This is Baltimore disguising coverages like they're doing card tricks. This is defensive coordinators with binders just on how to rattle rookies. The welcome mat has been set on fire, and Shedeur is being pushed through the front door. Now, I know what some people are probably thinking right now. Okay, but what if he's the truth? What if this is the spark the Browns needed all along? And hey, that could happen. We've seen it before. Rookie quarterbacks come in, take over, and shock the world. Justin Herbert, C.J. Stroud, Russell Wilson in year 1. Sometimes the leap works. Sometimes the risk pays off. But those teams had one thing Cleveland doesn't: stability. They had leadership alignment. They had coaching staffs who were part of the decision-making process. They had clear identity, clear schemes, and a long leash. What does Shedeur have? A coach who didn't want to start him. A locker room that's confused. A city that's starved for a miracle but bracing for disaster. And an ownership group more focused on optics than outcomes. That's not a formula. That's a fire drill. So where does this all go? Well, the Browns now have 2 choices. They can double down on the hype, ride the lightning, and hope Shedeur is everything they think he is, while praying the team doesn't fracture beneath him. Or, they can start making the hard decisions they've been avoiding for years. Commit to a real identity. Back the coaching staff. Build from the inside out. Actually develop Shedeur instead of throwing him into the arena and hoping for a gladiator. But time is running out. The season opener is coming. The eyes of the league are watching. And this isn't just about a rookie quarterback anymore. This is about Cleveland itself. About whether this team can finally break the cycle of dysfunction and disappointment. Whether they can build something real. Because if they blow this, if Shedeur becomes just another chapter in the long, sad history of almosts and whuffs, they won't just set the franchise back. They'll break something deeper. Something in the hearts of the fans. Something in the culture of the locker room. Something in the soul of a city that has waited long enough. So what do you think? Is Shedeur the spark? Or just the latest name in a long list of mismanaged dreams? Sound off in the comments. Let's hear it. And hit subscribe, because if this is how the season starts, just wait for what's next. In Cleveland, chaos isn't a surprise. It's tradition.